Hey, Emily, welcome to the Get in the Mode podcast.
Hi, David. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, we are excited to have you also. You're sort of a unique guest in our podcast, from digital leaders to executive coaches to now a nutritionist. Why don't we start by, for the benefit of our listeners, having a quick intro of yourself? What have you been doing? And in the last 5 years, perhaps. Yeah, give us your background.
Excellent. Yes. So my name is Emily Zorn. I am a registered dietitian and health coach, and I started my career as a registered dietitian in the sports nutrition world. So I did an internship and my master's at Ohio State, all focused on sports nutrition. And from there, for a few years, I worked with just athletes in the collegiate and professional level. And it was very hands-on. It was very much you're with the athletes every day. You're at all of their practices, their games, providing the pre and post workout nutrition, doing consulting, doing education, all of that. It was a very time consuming, but fun and engaging job. And I loved it. But then 2020 hit, and my husband, who also happens to be a sports dietitian, accepted a job out at Stanford in California. So we moved from the Midwest out to Palo Alto, California 3 years ago. And with that, I had to quit my job as a sports dietitian and started up in California, and it was COVID. So everything was shut down. People weren't really hiring new sports dietitians. So I had a decision to make, and I'd always in the back of my head thought, well, maybe it would be fun to try out starting my own business, see what that looks like. But I'd never had the opportunity to try, and that felt like a really good time to do it. So I started my business in May of 2020. And since then, I've just been focusing on learning as much as I can and growing it and helping people to the best of my ability ever since. So it's been about 3 years. And while I still do work with some athletes and have some clients who are runners or are high school football players or are maybe tennis players and they want to gain muscle, lose fat, I also work with people who are non-athletes who just want to clear up the noise around all of the different things we hear about nutrition, come up with a personalized plan so they know their path to health without getting confused about, oh, should I try this diet? My friend is vegan, but my other friend does the keto diet. What's right for me? So I do a fun mix of both of those now, and it's really been fun. It's been quite a journey, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Let's take a step back and talk a little bit about nutritionist. What's the role? Perhaps what's the value? And listeners of our podcast are mostly executives and leaders. High performance individuals. So for somebody like that, what can a nutritionist offer?
Definitely. Yeah. So I always find it interesting speaking with people who are executives, C-suites, own their business, high end people, because a lot of times, they have similar needs to athletes. While maybe they're sitting more at a desk, they need to be able to use their brain like an athlete does. And nutrition can definitely help with that. So, for those types of people, while I probably wouldn't recommend an extremely high calorie and high protein diet than I would for an athlete, we would focus more on the things that could really, make sure they're getting everything that they need, that they are fueled, but focusing on brain health, because that is so important. And also focusing on energy, just having the energy to be able to do all of the things that you need to do in your day. Nutrition and eating the right things at the right time and spreading it out throughout the day can really help with that. So it's beyond just the amount of food that you're supposed to eat throughout the day, there's a lot we can do with specific types of food. There's anti-inflammatory foods. There's foods that help us focus. There's foods that keep us full for longer. If you know you have a full day of meetings and you can't go out and get lunch, what can you eat that's going to keep you full all day so you can keep going and you don't get that brain fog? So there's a lot to be gained by having a nutritionist or a dietitian. And at the end of the day, I think the most valuable piece is what I was talking about earlier about just clearing out the noise of, I've heard that intermittent fasting is helpful. Would it be a good opportunity for me? Or if you're interested in trying a different diet, just having a second person, an expert to talk to and to let you know, is this a good path to go for you, or should we try something else?
For non-athletes, what are some nutrition metrics that you could potentially track? Like, how is there such a thing? Like, just from a fitness standpoint, we have many metrics. What about nutrition?
Definitely. So this is something I'd like to talk to people about in our first session when I'm working with them, because there has to be something that we are tracking throughout so we know that things are getting better, right? So I'm not big on tracking weight. I would instead enjoy, and people enjoy as well, because it's way less stressful to find other things to track. So big picture things that we'll often track is energy levels, sleep, confidence levels, their confidence in making their food choices. We'll track things like focus. And while none of those have specific numbers like weight do, we use a scale. So a scale of 1 to 10 in the beginning. Where are you energy-wise? And then check in throughout the program. Okay, is that number going up? Is that number going down? So those are the metrics I like to track. But also when I'm working with someone, I could find it to be very helpful to track the actual efforts. Because if we track the efforts, and you could see these are all the things that I've changed, and then you can attribute, oh, I'm feeling better, I have more focus, I have more energy, to all of these efforts that you have tracked. So we'll come up with whatever those are. For some people, it's, I want to add more, have protein at every single meal. I want to drink this amount of water. I want to, have half a plate of vegetables twice a day, whatever it is. Tracking those efforts and then seeing the outcomes such as energy, confidence, sleep, focus as a result of that. So yeah, tracking things can be really helpful, and having like an Excel sheet with the red and green of I did it this day, I didn't do it this day, can help build that confidence as well.
Great. Well, it's been great having you on the Get in the Mode podcast. Thank you for being a guest.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening to that clip from the Get in the Mode podcast. To watch the full episode of the podcast, click the link in the show description. Also, consider subscribing to the Get in the Mode YouTube channel to directly see new episodes on your YouTube feed.